Welcome to the Weekly Briightcap, insights from inside the agency. Where we look at what we shipped, what we're working on, and what we're doing for Bright, our own marketing and our own efforts as a business. You know, I'm a business leader. I get to talk to business leaders all day and business owners, and the challenges, they're different guises, but they're very similar. This is going to be quite a stripped back production, if you call it that. So we've got a single cam here, a reaction camera, and I'm not using the team. You know, the idea is just to keep everything quite straightforward and the editing just minimal, because that's how you make things scalable and repeatable, which is what I want to do. And I was inspired because we've been doing a lot of medium long form content for clients, especially in the podcasting space, as you'll see, as we get into this, what I've been working on this week. And it's inspired me, you know, that exposure time, you know, developing those parasocial time with people and those parasocial relationships. It's important, right? So I'll dive into more of that. But yeah, what we shipped. Now, full disclosure, I've been working between Christmas and New Year. Technically, Bright's been closed. But we did, and I did, edit and finish something. So I'll show you there. I'm recording the screen as well so you can see it. So what we do a lot of work in the L&D space, lots of training content for organizations. And we've been working with a company called The Right Conversation. And we did a shoot over a year ago now, I think it was. Now, I'd worked with Anthony in a previous, when he had a previous company, which, you know, we helped with their marketing and they scaled and exited, and it was all that good stuff that you want from the people you work with. But some of his frustrations was a lot of the content we were doing, it was quite similar, but just for different companies. So I came up with the idea of, why don't we film it once and film it in a way where we can quite quickly bring things on brand, and not just intro, outro boards, because that stuff is easy, but stuff that makes it feel bespoke, because part of what you want for the people who are watching this training content is for them to feel the buy-in, you know, that it was purposely made for them. So a simple way was changing the posters. So obviously we bring things on brand with custom fonts, you know, brand colors, all that good stuff. But then, yeah, so we set up shots, and as you can see on the screen here, these are dummy ones, because although none of the clients that I'm going to talk about have NDAs with us, I do want to respect, you know, they might not want to divulge who their clients are, that kind of thing. And yeah, so just things like having the posters in shot and being able to do those in a way where we can swap them out. Now, this training program had 11 videos, which are all sort of 3 to 5 minutes long. Why did me, the owner of Bright, come in on his day off, on his rest time, to get this done? Main reason is we've got projects underway, which I want the team to focus on, and we've got new stuff being filmed. And I just want to go into January, you know, not having this, because it's quite a smaller job. So it took me, I don't know, a day and a half, something like that. And it's a smaller job to do, but I just wanted it ticked off. They need it delivered by February, but really, why not? I got it done, you know. So that is what we shipped, and it's a great thing. And what I learned was, and we do it more and more, but I think because we've revisited this project now 5 times for 5 different brands, and the balance is, do we spend more time making it easier to bring on brand? Because there are little refinements. Dan's done work on this, I've done work on this, and each time made it a little better. The difficulty is we don't know if there's going to be no more or 11 more, because the company has to go out and sell it as their additional, you know, to what they're doing there. So I think it's the thing we've really learned is, one, for 2026, I want Bright to get projects done and ticked off. This was one that's now done and ticked off. I'm leading by example. I'm not letting things drag. But then the other is, yeah, be mindful of the future. So at Bright, no one's ever worked with us just once, which is great to say. But it's knowing that because of that, you might revisit projects. You might need to go again on something. So always build it in a way where it's understandable if you've got different team members to jump on it. And make it as straightforward and as quick and efficient as possible, right? So that's what we shipped. Now, and I should just add, it was my smart idea to do this and do this in this way, okay? So what are we working on? Now, a few things I want to run through. We've been working on scripting for an animation for a sort of SaaS company, which does like shipping logistics software. So it's quite a niche product, but really valuable, and it saves a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of man hours, and for large scale businesses, that is a great value exchange. Now they've got a new product coming out, and they want to launch it with a 60 to 90 second, mostly text-led animation, and some things which demonstrate how it works. It's software, so it's mostly behind the scenes. So it's trying to convey that level of complexity, but then the simplicity on top of that. And that's why animation is really good for SaaS companies and things like that. But the difficulty's been, so we quite like to have clients have a first go at a script and actually a bullet point list of the features, why that matters to their customer. That's a good place to start. Now, for some, and we've worked with these people a while, they've just got stuck on it, okay? And it happens. So what I've been doing is working on that script, getting that bullet points, because if you've done any sort of script writing, you'll know that getting the first draft out there is probably the hardest thing to do, but it's actually only until that's done can you script edit, rewrite, and make it the polished article that every TV show, every movie, and every product video should be that you see. And so yeah, I've been going through that, and the way we broke it down, we had a few references, but I was really just trying to strip back what makes them as a company and a brand stand out, along with just the features, because you don't just sell the features. You got to set up the problem. You got to set up the solution, all the while building that brand trust. But then you have proof in there. So how long have they been going? How many clients have they done this for? It's a new product. Has there been pilot schemes, and how successful were they? How many, what's quantifiable data is in there? How many hours does this save? How much money does it save? And you want to depict that sort of paradise island at the end to make it aspirational. All these problems are taken away through this piece of software. And so I did that, and we went through it. I'll blur a lot of this because, again, it's a prototype product. I don't know how much they'll be cool with us sharing. So let's respect that client relationship. And I've just been starting to think about how their brand can evolve. So with each of these products, and it's always a good thing to think about it whenever you have a piece of, especially like a cornerstone piece of content done, look at it as an opportunity for brand lift. How can our brand evolve from a visual aspect as well as tone of voice, but visual mostly, to reflect where we're going and use it as an opportunity to do that. And then the other piece, which I think is important, is we got, just before we broke up, we got some client feedback. Now, that can scare a lot of people, and we're no stranger to that too. But it was pretty good feedback, and but useful, which is why I want to highlight this. So a lot of agencies, and we've been going a while now, you can fall into the trap of reacting negatively to feedback, and I don't think I've completely shaken that. But I know that if I just take 5 minutes and calm, then I can understand it. And a lot of the things are genuine, and it's actually a difficulty in articulation for people, and because they're not creatives, they're not used to doing this thing. So it's how do we articulate that? Now, usually if something's been flagged, there's a reason for it. It might not be the thing they're saying, but it might just be, I don't know, a pacing issue. It might be it needs more context or setup, something like that. But anyway, I'll walk you through some of the main bits. So thanks so much for sending this through. Honestly, no need to apologise. December has a habit of making a runaway shopping trolley. Okay, December was busy. Watched both videos and I want to say very clearly, the film quality is fantastic. The overall concept really lands and you've captured something human, warm and grounded, which is no small feat. I feel very confident about where this is heading. You know, that's great feedback to have. And this person has a large membership circle. They work in the art world, so galleries, museums, you know, really famous artists and then lots of other artists as well. And they've got different tiers of like memberships and support that they give. So it's really cool. And what was nice about this is they said the overall concept really lands. Now, concept being distinct is important to us, but it's important to everyone. For 2026 and beyond, with the rise of AI slop and just the speed of which people can get content out, concept is going to be everything. Being distinctive is going to be everything, trust me. Anyway, so the bits I really want to bring the attention to is an important note from knowing our audience well. Anything that leans cute tends to be a hard no for our UK and European crowd. You know, they can smell gimmicks a mile off. I'm sure this is already on your radar, but worth saying explicitly. Brilliant. So we had a placeholder graphic in there or animation. We won't go down that route. You know, we'll find a non-cutesy way. I think it was borderline anyway. And then shifting priorities. This happens. So one of the things we did with this particular project, but actually most of the ones that we ended Q4 with, was film quite a bit of content at one time. So this particular person had sort of 3 pathways to work with them. So we had a video for each and then a sort of 4th video that brings them together. So from one shoot day, capturing loads, because I just want people to get value. And in the past, we've even done it where we, you know, kicked editing down the line, but we got it just in case. Why it was important is I think I'd sort of like lost faith with sending some work in progress to people, because no matter how you frame it and you say, you know, this isn't sound mixed, there'll be more visual effects or there'll be sound effects, sound design, proper music, that'll really lift it all, color grading, all that stuff. I think we've had too many, I personally had a run where too many people were like, oh no, why does it look grey? Or, you know, why isn't sound? Or it just feels a bit flat. And I think, yeah, you got to understand the client and at what point you should be able to show them. Now here, we had it color graded. We recorded in this big studio space here. So it sounded great. And we had all that in place anyway. Didn't need heavy post-production treatment beyond the motion graphic stuff that I really wanted to show. So I was confident in showing that. It came across. And this new client, it looks like going to be a really effective partnership. And they even say at the end, already feels like the right partnership. And I'm excited about what we're building together. Amazing. No one works with Bright just once, remember. And that's what we've been working on. So what are we doing for Bright? Now, in my period of downtime over Christmas, I've been looking at the leads we generated, the sources they came from, which is nice. They all come from different sources. We do lots of organic, we do lots of paid, and probably some referral network as well. The beauty of being going 11 years and having new content out there, like the podcast, which is so shareable, especially beyond the numbers. You know, they've been going for now. We've just filmed season 3, so there's so much content out there, and Bev's been really good at promoting it. So it's got a lot of eyes and it's got a lot of plaudits and attention, which is great. But I've been looking at where we lost out, and particularly I want to pay attention. I will blur some of these because some of these are ongoing, but it's this end bit. The average age deal is 4.4 months. Now, it might be a sign of the economic times, but I think, and it's only on mine because we're so plugged into the marketing and sales results of our clients that I've recognized it as an issue with them. So it's definitely an issue with us. It's where's the friction in the marketing, you know? How quickly are we discussing money and budgets. How quickly are we making sure we're qualifying the lead, essentially, making sure who's got permission to sign off, what they need to see, getting that proposal to them if they have to go through different stakeholders. And captivating people, why they're interested and hungry and, excited by it. That's why they sent the inquiry in. 4.4 months is just too long, Only, I'd say, pre-pandemic, which was a few years ago now, but it would be, someone would inquire, you would get a decision that month. Next month you'd film and probably deliver after, depending on the project. It was that quick. So that's a real area of focus. And then generally breaking down where our leads came from, conversion rates, what marketing is worth doing and continuing or double downing on, and what might be there as a core piece, but, could fall by the wayside. That's what I've been looking at. And then really thinking about longer form content, It was this particular episode. So this person, we've been doing a podcast for them. We did a full season. We shot 8 episodes in one day, which was a real slog, but they're amazing and it was great. And there was one episode that performed really well in a really niche area. And I think it was 30 minutes long around there. It's been watched for 71 hours. 70.9 hours from 223 views. So retention rate, amazing. I think the stat for podcasts is someone who starts listening or watching a podcast, 78% of them finish, right? So if you think of that exposure time, fantastic, nothing beats it. And it only came from 223 views. So you don't need huge numbers, but those are people listening to a niche topic for the full entirety, and then going to watch your other content and seeing your other episodes out there. So it's great. So and there's been other cases. So Growth Hack, who were in here, we met after a Daniel Priestley talk in December, and Daniel Priestley was talking about this, the exposure time, 2 to 7 hours. You develop that parasocial relationship, and we've probably all experienced it, where you watch someone on YouTube or listen to their podcast or an audiobook and you feel like you know them, and that is apparently takes 2 to 7 hours of exposure time to you. So long form content's great, and you can break it all down to get awareness and get more people to see you, which is great, and it gives you those touch points. But that's something which really stood out, because Growth Hack Kevin said they had one video hit 100 hours of view time, right? And it's an hour 15 the episode, and it had 97 views. It's just unreal, it's so good. So that has been a focus now, bringing back our own podcast and just learning from the stuff we're doing for clients as well. Because if it's working for them, it's working for us. We get some stuff to test with as well. And so the key learning for 2026 is try and build up exposure time. Try and build content that's scalable, that you can clip, that can go into other platforms. Just build that network of content and that marketing machine. And finally, I mentioned it earlier, be distinctive, okay? You want your stuff to have format points that are different to anyone else, look better than other people's, the competition. Give yourself that competitive edge, but be distinctive, It's got to feel like your brand. If I see another podcast with a bloody slat wall behind them and some lights within the slat wall, that isn't building your personal brand, That isn't a pipeline podcast for your business. These things are important. It's got to feel on brand. And if you're booking a podcast studio or bringing in a video agency, make sure it's being brought on brand. Even if you have to go to a studio, what can you do there? How can you light it? What can you take with you? Even your chairs. How do you make it you, and distinctively you, so it's noticeable? And then obviously, the concept is going to be king in 2026. Now, I did say we'd keep this short, so let's wrap it up, because that's it. I hope you've enjoyed seeing a little peek inside agency life. Hey, Future Rob here. What this guy didn't say is it'd be great if you could like and subscribe to this, but also share it with someone who you think might get value from it. And I particularly want people to comment and say what you want to see more of. Is there an area that you thought a deeper dive would have been good? Do you want to see some After Effects breakdowns, or design iterations as we go through, and how we develop ideas? Is that something you want to see? Let us know, because I want this to be useful for people watching, as useful as it is for me to do a bit of a debrief on the week, and celebrate as well some of the stuff that we're doing here. All right, I'll let this guy finish. And I think this will be useful for me, at the very least, taking you through what we're doing, our thinking of it, and why it matters, because this stuff does matter. This will help businesses, what we do help businesses, and and it'll help us as well. Brilliant. All right, all being well, I'll see you for the next Weekly Briightcap. Straightforward, and the editing just minimal. All right, why didn't I move any of the electronics? Oh my god.